We made it to Mexico. Welcome to Puebla, the city of angels. Buenos dias, it's Sunday morning in Puebla. Now we flew 30 hours from Asia to Mexico and it's Alan's first time. I chose to come to Puebla first because it's a smaller city, it's a food city, it is beautiful, and I have secret plans that I would like us to spend half the year in Mexico, so it's so important for me to have Alan love Mexico. I'll let you know later on what he thinks about the place. For the last couple of days, we've just been getting over a jet lag, but we have spent time here in Barrio del Artistas. Now this spot is really interesting because behind me is an old produce market. A couple years ago, the city decided to move all of the markets outside the city. It was better access for farmers, it was easier for transportation, also easier to take care of all of the trash. And the artist said, hey, there's nothing wrong with these markets. Can we actually move in? Let's make it an art space, and that is what it is. So you'll have a lot of painters and sculptors and really interesting artisans, and right next to it is also El Parian, where you can get a lot of other things really good for souvenirs. But Sunday morning, not a lot of people out yet. Alan and I actually need to get some coffee. I really want to try a very traditional food at a very modern place. So that's where we're going to head first. Now, if you're a coffee connoisseur, you're going to come to Black Cat, Black Rabbitt in Puebla because it's known to be one of the best places. They do all of the things like Chemex and V90 and all the things I don't understand because frankly, I always order an Americano and not all Americanos are good, but this one is fantastic. The reason I came to this little spot that's independently owned is that they also have Poblano sweet that is only from June to September. It's seasonal and it's called a Molote Poblano. Now, a lot of people know molletes as being savory snacks that you will have, and we will probably have one later today. But this one is very traditional, and not everybody knows it, not even in Puebla. So it's not easy to get. It's basically like, looks like kind of like a concha. It's a sweet bread. Inside there's pastry filling. And then this icing is actually made with pumpkin seeds on top. And that's because this is definitely influenced by the Spanish during colonization. I heard that a lot of people have it with hot chocolate, which they do have here and it's supposed to be great. But when I asked them if I should have it with hot chocolate, they said to me wisely, this is going to be sweet, so maybe instead you want to try a coffee. It's very light. I expected it to be very dense. I want to get right in the middle to this pastry filling without... It's filled with coconut filling. This is delicious. I cut this in half so Alan could have some too, but as soon as he saw that they had a number of croissants, he decided we needed to have 2 dishes. All right, we are caffeinated. We've had some sugar. We are ready for a little bit of history. Let me tell you about Puebla because it's actually a pretty important city here in Mexico. Just outside of Mexico City, it was actually in contention to be the capital city of Mexico. So Mexico City already existed when the Spanish came, and they wanted to create Puebla as somewhere that new Spanish would come. It's halfway between Mexico City and Veracruz, the port city, and it would be the new colonizers thrived. Now, they did think that it would be the capital, and in the end, it turned out it's not. That said, it's still a very important city, and you can see by the way that it's made that there was a lot of thought and intention into making this city. And it's not just a beautiful city, but art is really appreciated here. Lots of musicians, artisans on the street. Alan can't pass without giving just a little bit of money. It's Sunday afternoon and it's pretty busy, not so much with cars, but a lot of people walking around. It's very interesting to travel in Puebla because there are lots of tourists, but almost all of them are Mexican. People just assume that we are. Alan is constantly telling people that he doesn't speak Spanish and he's sorry, but he's from Asia. But it's really nice to be in a city that Mexicans want to travel to, not just foreign travelers. I think we see some now and then, but honestly, for the most part, this is a Mexican tourist city, which is pretty cool. And we made it to the Zocalo. Now this is the very first place we came to once we arrived, and I think it's probably the best place to start if you're not sure where to go in a city, because this is where life is, especially on the weekends like today. You can see this is Sunday. There is so much going on. It's usually where the city will hold events, especially for children, that are free. There's a museum here right now doing something with kids. A lot of people gather here. In Puebla, you'll find a lot of locals here just sitting on the benches, and it's just a really fun place to be. At nights, they'll have music. You're always close to street food. But Zocalo actually has kind of an interesting story in that in Mexico City, when they were first building the main square, they built a Zocalo, which was a platform for a monument. But I don't think they finished the monument, or maybe it took a really long time, because people started referring to this place as the Zocalo, which in Spanish is monument. And so after that, that name kind of carried, and so every main square, which is kind of the center point of a city, is now called the Zocalo, in Mexico only. But here you will see in the Zocalo, we have this statue. It is of Saint Michael, I think, and he has his sword and he's killing a demon. And I think that speaks to a lot of the folklore in this city, but I'll explain a little bit more because we are going to go eventually to the cathedral. Now, I love this spot because it's so shaded. But what's really interesting about it is not shaded with native trees from Mexico. It is not shaded with Spanish trees. In fact, when Alan got here, he said, these trees look very familiar. And so we looked it up. They are actually from Southeast Asia. So I think they're called the laurel tree, but they are not native to here nor Spain. I don't know why they brought them in. I guess they were colonizing Southeast Asia or visiting or something. Maybe they got them from the Philippines, but they brought them over here. And so they're really great because they're very tall, shaded. I'm sure the native Mexican trees would have been just as nice, but you know, the Spanish put their stamp on things. We are going to go through the Zocalo. It's so busy right now because this is where most of the tour groups also meet, and school groups, and there are a lot of groups here. And then we're going to head over to probably the most popular spot to see around here for Mexicans. I am shocked. They actually have an organized line here to get a picture in front of the Puebla sign. When I was here, it was like a free-for-all, but this is the line, and I think it's fantastic that people have kind of figured out everybody wants their picture. Let's be civilized about it. You can tell I haven't been to Latin America in a while because I thought on a Sunday that we would be able to go see the Puebla Cathedral. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it because it's supposed to be really beautiful. But it took almost 75 years to build. And remember, at one time they thought Puebla might be the capital of Mexico. So it was actually built with that intention, very grand. It has volcanic black ash stone and then the white stucco in between, which is very typical of the colonial design you'll see here in the city. But also, they built this giant bell. That would be the bell that would ring for service. And it was so heavy, they couldn't actually get it into the tower. They tried and then finally gave up. And then apparently, one morning they woke up and the bell was there. And so they say that the angels actually hung the bell. And that is why I believe that Puebla is called the City of Angels. Okay, we did actually go in. They're holding a mass, so we didn't want to stay long. But also, you can take pictures in there, no flash, but no video. So, you'll have to come for yourselves. Now on to having a snack. All right, as expected, this guy is hungry too. It is almost 2 o'clock. And surprisingly, that's actually when people eat lunch here in Puebla. It's not at 12. They eat lunch between 2 and 4. It is the largest meal of the day. Although I think we might just go for snacks, and in another video, I'll show you traditional lunch here. As I mentioned, Puebla is a food city, so there are a lot of the best places to go and things like that. We're certainly going to go on a food tour next. The thing that's really lovely about eating out in the city is the hospitality, and you feel like you are at home. Mexicans are just so hospitable to foreigners and people who don't know what they're ordering and don't know what they're doing sometimes. And so when we got here, I knew that Antojitos Tomy was really popular with locals because every time we walk by here, there are so many locals here. Also, there are 3 locations, so they're right back to back to back, and I think they just keep expanding because everyone loves these antojitos. I got molotes, which is basically kind of like a quesadilla. It is corn and it's deep fried, and inside I got huitlacoche. It's like corn fungus. They call it the Mexican truffle in France, and that is exactly what it tastes like. We're going to put some salsa on there and then also some cream. And then for Alan, he really wanted to have rice. And so we ordered milanesa, which is just a breaded chicken. And we said to them, he doesn't want vegetables, he doesn't want the potato. Can you give him as much rice as you can? And then they threw in some beans as well. And I just think that's really lovely that you can come into a place, order off the menu, and everybody says, yes, of course, no problem. And then I asked, could we shoot you making some of the food? And they said, okay, no problem. That really just speaks to, I think, why I love Mexico so much. People here are so nice. I like a little bit of spice, but not too much. So I'm gonna do a little bit of the green, a little bit of the red, and then of course, if people offer you cream, you definitely wanna have it. I know this corn fungus that I mentioned sounds weird, but it is one of the best things in Mexico. And this cheese, so good. A little bit of Jamaica, this is a good lunch. I can see why this place is so popular with locals. Really good prices. This is deep fried, not greasy at all. Crispy, crunchy. We're definitely gonna be back here. I know this is a good spot. Love the people, love the food. The shopping street is busy today. One of the things you do need to watch out here, especially on this street, is for pickpockets. In general, crime in Puebla is not a violent crime towards tourists, but there are definitely pickpockets. And Alan always has his eye open for people who are actually eyeing us. So a lot of times you don't see him always in video because I'm walking and talking, and he's just making sure that nobody pays too much attention to me, which is pretty good advice. I think you gotta look out for each other if you're two. Now, you don't really have to do that in Zocalo. It's not a lot of people, but not as crowded. But here, it's always a good idea just to be extra aware. Don't put anything in your back pocket. Is, as they say in Colombia, no dar papaya. Don't give people a reason to rob you. Obviously, I'm walking around with a camera, but I've got this guy right there. If you hate crowds, this is the wrong street to be on. So either you love this street because you want some Crocs, or now you know to avoid this street. It is popular, and actually there are a lot of Mexican stores here that sell things for very good prices. There's a lot of discount stores too, which is kind of strange. You would think right downtown it would be more expensive, but actually there's quite a few that are discount, and some which get clothing from the United States. I guess what the United States doesn't want and sells it. We are back at the Zocalo. This is kind of a common theme with our travels, is that it really is the center of everything. So we go try one thing, and usually we're like, oh, let's go sit down. Let's go sit down in the Zocalo. But today is Sunday, and so we are gonna try to find a spot, but it'll be tricky because everybody wants to sit here. All right, it's a very tight squeeze, but we found a spot in the Zocalo to sit and chat. Puebla is a small city, but it seems like, you know, you walk for a couple of hours and all of a sudden you're at 15,000 steps, which is the case for us today. We didn't get to do everything we wanted to show you, but that is okay. And I know if you've been to Puebla, you're thinking, oh my goodness, how could you have not eaten a samita? we will show you that, but I feel like the number one thing people know about Puebla is semitas because they're delicious sandwiches. We have others to show you. And I started this video saying that I had the secret mission to make Alan fall in love with Mexico. So what are your initial impressions of Puebla and Mexico?
I feel nice, I feel comfortable, and also because the weather is cold, that I like it.
Beautiful weather here. It's spring-like.
Yeah.
So it's sunny out, and at night it's very cool. Perfect weather. It's got spice. It's got rice. Alan ate tacos a few days ago and loved them. We've also had quesadillas. We've been eating in the street every day. Such good food.
Yeah.
Would you move here? That's the question.
I think so.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
He confessed to me 2 days ago that his 6-month visa, he could spend the whole time in Puebla. We are not going to do that. We'll be here for a month. We're going to share lots from Puebla, the outside area, but of course more of Mexico. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Tienes aquí fuego en mi corazón.